the Clyde Broadcast Podcast, bringing to you inspiring broadcast stories and the latest in broadcast technology.
It is the Director General of the National Broadcasting Commission, Charles Ebuebu. Welcome to our podcast, sir.
Thank you very much.
It's so good to have you here. I know you were here with the minister on the first day, but we're in a bit of a hurry, but it's good to catch you up. So 3 days of Africast 2023. It's in Lagos this year. Mm-hmm. What's your assessment of the whole thing so far?
Well, it was a great conference in my view. I was opportune to see the developments in technology. In terms of broadcast technology, I've seen emerging trends, what people are now doing, where you don't need so much equipment. You're able to get it in smaller sets, but yet with more capacities and features. I was able to join discussions on content, how to monetize content distribution, how to basically up our game when it comes to content in Nigeria and in Africa. Yes, so all of that, I take it as a takeaway for my role as a regulator to be able to create an enabling environment, to allow business to thrive, to allow content to grow. I mean, Africa you have Netflix coming here now. So much, we have so much potential. But like I said, where we have a problem is distribution and monetization. And I'm going to be creating strategic policies to help the market grow in that way.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Now, as a broadcaster myself, we are very aware of the influence and importance of your role as a regulator. And we see interesting things go around, especially around election periods in Nigeria when there are very critical moments. In your role as NBC DG, moving forward, what are the things you're going to do at the commission to make sure that, broadcasters stay on side of the code all the time?
Well, the regulations basically are meant to be a guide, right? And I see, for example, the conversations when we're talking about content. Yes. For example, people are talking about how do we allow certain things happen on social media, which is not regulated by NBC right now, so to say, and we are so strong on television. Yes. Well, there are different platforms, and in some cases, different rules apply. Yes. But there's a general basis for human beings to interact. And when you flout those regulations, the law comes down heavy on you. So realizing the fact that there are emerging trends, acceptable behavior now was not what it was 10 years ago, yes, right? We're going to look at all of that. We're going to have public engagement. We're going to have enlightenment programs. We're going to call stakeholders meetings. All of this is to educate the public, because you need a general mindset. You need people to work in a certain way. There's a balance to everything. It's that balance we're going to push as a narrative and try to bring people. It's not, you don't wait until they flout and you wield the stick. Yes. You have to drive home subtly and persuasively the fact that this is what amounts to acceptable behavior.
And you've had a lot of experience coming into this role now as a regulator. I mean, you've been in programs acquisition, you've done legal. Yeah. That explains why you're so keen on improving content and so on. I'd like to know, looking at the future of broadcasting on the continent, especially after Africast 2023, with the improvements in technology, for example, all the exhibitors came through. I was wild. I was like, this is so good. I saw you do a walk around as well. What's your excitement level for? What are you most looking forward to in the coming years?
You see, I see the potentials where if we have an enabling environment, if we create the level playing field for people to be able to carry our culture and our story, right, to the world, the sky is not the limit, basically. I see so much potential, and I'll give you an example. Someone asked a question in the forum I was in that you would see stuff on TikTok, so people with their smartphones shooting what they call rubbish, right? The story has no head, no tail, but yet people are watching it. You know what that reminds me of? It reminds me of when I attended a forum where Nollywood was first being exported as a channel to the UK, yes, right? And a lot of people said, this is rubbish. This is not how you write a script. How can you shoot a script in 5 days? But where's Nollywood today? So it's not about the process. It's not about the technology. It's the story. It's the content, right?
Yes.
So for me, it's to be able to enable people, push people, help people. If it takes me getting into collaborations with foreign platforms, foreign stations like the BBC, for example, we need to talk about creating a sustainable children's channel. Several, basically. When you watch a kid, maybe 3 years old, watching some of this foreign content, and they are so engrossed, they stay silent. That is a kid you can't keep still for 2 minutes.
At home, yes.
So you ask yourself, what is it he's saying? Because to you it's rubbish, but to them it's something.
Yes.
All you need to do is get that understanding, that knowledge, use what we have, and give him that same interest, and you've got a channel. Seriously. So for me, it's to drive people in the right direction, push them towards the right ideas, create a level playing field for their businesses to thrive. And I think, honestly, we've not seen where it will go to. It's way beyond what we can think.
That's fantastic. And it's important that you speak about so many other outlets apart from what we have traditionally already and the different demographics that can be affected, especially with kids and children programming. And that takes me to what we're doing here today. This is the first of its kind at Africast as a podcast for Africast. And, we're speaking earlier on with some other contributors, and they're saying, since the last Africast 5 years ago, a lot has changed in the space now, to the extent that when we did a panel for podcasting, we had members of the BBC World Service come through, Alan Kasuja and so on. And it wasn't as much as, we're introducing podcasting now. It was more an evaluation. That's how fast the whole process has moved. Is the NBC going to be looking in this direction as well? And what are you thinking to do to encourage that?
So I'll tell you something. I sat with, was it Roche and Suez? They showed me a technology where, and basically, it wasn't just them. There were a few platforms. And the shocking thing they told me? Yeah. They told me that, for example, when we do pay TV, you need a decoder, you need a smart card. Yes. They told me it's not going to exist in the next 5 years. So Nigeria is going to be playing catch up. Basically, what they're telling me is they have technology that goes direct to your TV, direct to your handheld devices, any object you have that can receive signals. You agree with me? Step into a hotel. Every modern hotel has smart TV. So you don't go in there and watch linear channels where somebody has drawn up an editorial program for you. You watch one after the other. You go, you take your remote, you either the ones that you could speak and it responds. So basically what you're saying, the podcast technology and all that, it's in the next 5 years, it will even have gone beyond that. I am somebody that loves technology. I like emerging trends. I like to see developments, and I'm going to be a wholehearted supporter for anything that takes us out of where we are right now and takes us there. Europe, for example, is talking about phasing out cars in the UK. You will not use cars with fossil fuel.
Yes.
In a few years, 2040, we have to get there in broadcasting. The question I was asking the equipment holders was, okay, if you deploy this in Africa, are you able to address challenges? Bandwidth being expensive, for example. This technology you're bringing, does it have to take so much? We're talking about 5G, for example. Yes. How is that going to be deployed? What is the cost to the man in my village? All those questions you try to put together sustainable solutions, and I'm all for it.
And thank you for being so forward with that, because we've had conversations here on the podcast with several media owners and entrepreneurs, and there's the continue rehapping of the progress of the digital switch over here in Nigeria. It's a big elephant in the room. It's a big elephant in the room, and I must bring it up with you.
No, definitely.
What are your plans as DG of the NBC in that regard?
Good question. Yes. So I was a part of the process from when the DG was Malam Kao. Yes. When he handed over to Dr. Armstrong. It was only with the DG who handed over to me that I wasn't part of it. So I know these issues. One of them is funding. Definitely. You know, at the point the government came and said we're putting up seed grants and all of that and some funding. And when the minister, Lai Mohammed, was there, he said, this is the last, you know. So that's funding is one of the issues. There are no clear-cut roles and responsibilities. Sometimes even, and nobody's holding, you know, where you have like an SLA, where you hold somebody to his responsibility, and if he doesn't do it, there are penalties. There are nothing. So you need to draw clear timelines. You need to say, you must achieve from this point to this point. So if you're going to do a launch, you must cover a designated area.
Yes.
And then there will be switch off, because when there's switch off, then you can harvest frequencies and sell, you know. But all of that, we were doing it on the go. That is the problem. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come out with an entire document, roles, processes, funding. People, even broadcasters, they had issues with it because all they saw was that you're going to stop them from broadcasting, and you're going to ask them to pay. But they don't see where the business is. If you educate people about where the business is and they see the real possibility of making money, they will definitely buy into your plan. So it's going to be, I would start with the re-education, first of the stakeholders, before we then draw up all those processes. Then we face Nigerians, basically to educate them about the benefits of digital switchover. I'll tell you, for example, the Obasanjo regime introduced the mobile phone. So think where we will be today without a mobile phone. Has the functionalities about, to the last count, I was like 27 gadgets. Your cameras is gone. It's gone. Right? Your radio is there. TV is there. You know, so many things. Banking, so many things. So just think, if he didn't, or even if somebody did like 10 years after I did, we will not be where we are today. Nigeria is so developed. Even with the economic situation in the country, youths are conducting businesses, sitting at home. So you create that level play. You create an enabling environment for things to thrive. I'm all for it, and that's what I'm going to do.
I know it's early days still in your term as DG, and it's a good thing you just mentioned the business climate in the country, and you're being there to encourage people to thrive, because we did also have media owners. I'm just letting you in. I'm sure you see the podcast.
Definitely.
Said that it would be nice if the NBC helped them a bit more, especially with licensing fees and so on. But what sort of conversations are you having with media owners now as you've come into office and looking into charting a good course ahead?
Well, you probably don't, but I just resumed on Friday.
Yes.
So what I'm doing right now, internally, I'm going through all the processes, all the issues, whatever has been raised. I've spoken to a few content owners. They've expressed their dire disappointment and frustration. And some of them says they've invested so much money, they're not going back there anymore. But you see, when you're able to switch things around a bit, and there's a possibility, I believe you can win people back. Of course, the issue about payment of license fees, a lot of them, look, I don't even have a sustainable business. I barely survive. That was even before we had the increase in fuel. A lot of offices, I am aware, media offices operate day shifts. So, a hybrid model where you come in on Monday, Tuesdays are off, you come in on Wednesday, it's all trying to survive. So if they don't do that, how will, So of course, we consider all of that. The minister, Lai Mohammed, before he left, at the point he slashed licensing fees, even extended the period within which you had to pay. So definitely, I will look all of that, and I will go to the minister with a recommendation as to how we would be able to meet people at the point of their need. So that way, we could work together with them and grow the industry.
That's a very optimistic outlook. I'm very excited as a member of the broadcast industry here in Nigeria. We thank you very much for your time. Charles Ebuebu, the new Director General of the National Broadcasting Commission. Thanks for coming.
My pleasure.
All right, my name is Osato EDK. Thank you for watching and for listening.